Hi guys, Mrs. Warner here. Today we're going to do a super fun lesson on converting radians to degrees and degrees to radians. Hopefully you watched the lovely video that I posted of someone other than myself teaching what a radian is. She did a much better job explaining than I would have. So hopefully you watched that. So you know that the radian is the length of an arc divided by the radius of a circle. Okay, so ready? It is the length, oh boy, I'm having trouble writing today, of an arc divided by the radius of a circle. Nope. Yes. Okay, so the length of an arc is basically if you took a piece of string and placed it on the outside of the arc and then straightened it out. So the length of an arc divided by the radius of the circle, and that's what a radian is. So if we wanted to convert from degrees to radians, the process is super fun. 1 degree is equal to pi over 180. Okay. So that means all I need to do is if I want to put something into radians, I take my number of degrees and multiply it by pi over 180. Okay, let's try some examples. Now, you're going to need your handy dandy calculator. I'm so excited. Hopefully you have it at home because I think you guys got to go all in and clean out your locker. Okay, so we have 325 degrees, but I want to turn that into radians. So I'm going to place that over 1 and multiply it by pi over 180. Now, you could simply go through and reduce the 325 over the 180 by finding common factors, or you can write it like this first, 325 pi over 180, and then what I would do to make sure I get this correct is I'd type in 325 divided by 180 on my calculator. I'm going to hit the math button because mine's old school, and then I'm going to hit convert it to a fraction. And that reduces to 65 pi over 36. Oops, I ran out of room there. So this is 65 pi over 36. And that is how many radians 325 degrees are. That was super fun. Let's try another one. Okay, so 60 degrees times pi over 180. Again, you could take and do 60 pi over 180, and then you could take your calculator and hit the math fraction button. Or, super fun, I like to do this. 60 divides into 180 3 times, so this would reduce down to pi over 3. That was fun. 2 different ways to do it. Use your calculator if you can't think, or you can take and see how many times the numerator divides into the denominator, or likewise the round. Okay, let's do 195 degrees over 1 times pi over 180. So you could sit there and look for their LCM, or you can go 195 pi over 180, and then you can take your calculator, go 195 divided by 180, hit the math fraction button, and it's 13 pi over 12. Wow, my writing's really bad today. It's because it's Friday, and I'm ready for the weekend, people. It's been a long week. Actually, it's been a long time since the end of March, and I'm getting tired. Okay, so next we're going to convert from radians to degrees. So excited. Okay, so to convert from radians to degrees, we're just basically going to work backwards. We're going to get crazy. Notice when it becomes in radians, there's a pi in the answer. Now, to go back to degrees, degrees will not have the pi in the answer. So we're just simply going to take and multiply by the reciprocal of what we did before. So to make it into degrees, it's going to be radians Instead of pi over 180, now it's going to be 180 over pi. This is going to be fun. That's because we need the pi's to basically divide themselves out. So I have 4 pi over 3, and this time I'm going to times it by 180 over pi. Now, if there's a pi on the top and a pi on the bottom, they will divide out and no pi's will be left. That's how you know you've done it right. If you're trying to get back in degrees, degrees do not have the pi, and the pi's must cancel, so the pi needs to go on the bottom. Okay, so if I took and did 4 times 180, that turns into 720 pi over 3 pi. And so you can see the pi's will cancel out, and then you just take 3 and divide it into 720, and that would give me 240 degrees. Super fun. Let's try another one. 5 pi over 6 times 180 over pi. Okay, so you could take the 5 and times it by 180. You get 900 pi divided by 6 pi. Again, the pi's are going to cancel, and 6 goes into 900, 150 degrees. Or sometimes I like to go like this. 6 goes into 180. That goes 30 times. 30 times 5 is 150, and the pi's would cancel out. Many different ways to solve this. Let's try the last one. 7 pi over 4 times 180 over pi. So I'm going to try that second method I did. The pi's would cancel. I would see how many times 180 divides by 4, and that should be 45, I think, right? So then that goes in there 45 times, and then I would just simply take 7 and times it by 45, and I get 315 degrees. That was so fun. I could sit here all day and do those examples, but I also have to teach some rational expressions to my juniors who are taking a college class. Okay, so there's some fun examples at the bottom here. We've got more converting to degrees or radians. I will put the completed note sheet in the Google Classroom for you, so you can try those out on your own if you want, or check your work there. And then there's an exciting Go formative for homework, which is super short because these are pretty easy to do. And that was our exciting lesson for the week. And next year when you take Algebra 2 Honors, Mrs. Lenny and Mr. Hunter will thank you because you now know how to convert from degrees to radians. Have a great Friday, and hope you guys are well. My pool is opening in the next hour. So bye guys, have a good